It's time for On Point, where we speak to experts to delve deeper into some of the key issues in the spotlight right now. Google's in-app purchase policy has been the cause of some complaints from app developers in South Korea recently due to a 30% in-app purchase commission, with a ban on showing alternative payment methods for apps. And one of South Korea's biggest IT companies, Kakao, went up against Google, showing an alternative link that directs users to a website to pay outside the Google app and avoid the 30% commission.
Last week, this battle between the two IT giants came to a close as Google refused to update Kakao applications on Android phones, and the South Korean messaging app gave in and took down the link. So where is this fight headed, and can we declare Google the winner? For more, we have Professor Kim Yong-jin at Sogang University's Business School with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, first off, we only gave the gist of what's going on, but could you explain this agreement a little further from an expert's point of view? And is this the end of the fight? Have Kakao ultimately lost for maybe even representing the other apps?
Yeah, but you explained well about the fight between Google and Kakao applications. It has been expected, and after the revision of Telecommunications Business Act in August 2021, and Google's announcement in this April, Google clarified that all in-app developers who are selling their digital product and services in Google Store are required to use Google payment system only. And even though the alternative payment method are allowed, the developers shall not provide the outlink to the alternative payment website. Kakao applications provided an alternative link that direct to a website for users to go and pay a cheaper price outside of the Google app. Kakao did it for good, but violated Google's policy. When it comes to the conclusion of the fight, in the situation where Google and Apple have a monopolistic market power of 90% in the app market here in Korea and global alike, it is not easy for other app developers to refuse to use App Store or Google Play Store. That means the fight over in-app purchase almost finished to make the two marketplace giant winners.
And Professor, well, it does come as quite a surprise, really, because the South Korean Parliament, they actually passed a law which was the first of its kind in the world to actually restrict Google from only having in-app options. And, well, why doesn't it appear to be working? And could you also explain what the law was?
Well, as you mentioned, this is the first of its kind in the world. South Korean National Assembly revised the Telecommunication Business Act to include 3 items in Article 50, which is about the prohibited act. The items included are about the prohibited act of the app market operators, such as the forced use of specific payment method, the delay of app publication review, and the cancellation of listed apps. After this revision of the law in August 2021, Google responded to set up a new policy with regard to in-app purchase, which allows alternative payment method, but not allow developers to promote the payment method by providing button, link, and message about them. At the same time, Apple and Google started charging 26% of commission on the app's purchase through alternative payment method, which totally nullified the regulation newly introduced. There's no difference. Either you use in-app purchase or alternative payment method in terms of commission. They always have the other ways to circumvent the regulations.
Right, they always, like you said, have the ways to go around the law, but South Korea was the first one to put this kind of law in place. Right. But how does it work outside of South Korea? It must be an issue everywhere else in the world. As you said, they have 90% of the market share.
Exactly. Not only in Korea, the US and EU also have similar problems. In the US, Epic Games sued Google over the cancellation of their mobile game, what is called Fortnite, from Google Play. due to the fact that Epic Games provided alternative payment method outside of Google Play Store to avoid 30% of commission, other companies, including Spotify, Meta, Microsoft, and Next, supported Epic Games. After this lawsuit, Google and Apple a little bit stepped back to cut commission by 15% for small and medium developers whose yearly revenue is less than $1 million, and to provide support programs for them and to allow alternative payment method without direct link. In EU, Spotify sued Apple over Antitrust Act in that Apple gave favor to Apple Music by not charging 30% commission, which is imposed to other competitors. EU Commission is still investigating the issue.
And speaking of Apple, Professor, could you compare how the company is doing here in South Korea compared to Google's policies and how this really affects consumers?
Right. That's a good question. Actually, the difference between Google and Apple, caused by the different market position. Apple is the one who invented the app marketplace in 2008. The company was number one in the mobile application market. Google was the fast follower. Apple set up the in-app purchase in 2011 and has charged a 30% commission from that time. Developers, who did not have any channel or outlet to sell their app to make money at the time, applauded Apple's App Store and its in-app purchase policy. So Apple did not have much problems. However, Google, could not impose the in-app purchase policy to all developers because it had to gather more developers and more users to catch up with Apple. So the company charged the commission only on game developers. With enough number of developers and users now, the company tried to change the route. This change in the in-app purchase policy causes huge turmoil around the world. Even though the timing is a little bit different, both companies face similar problems with regard to the in-app purchase due to the monopolistic power of them in the market.
Well, thank you so much for your insights. They're very, very specific and valuable to us. We look forward to speaking to you again soon, and have a great morning.
Have a good morning, and thanks for having me.